Hey guys, so I just wanted to show you guys how I did my adaptive springs inside of Onshape. I'm sure there might be some better ways to do this, but I just wanted to show you guys how I figured it out in case you would like to implement the same in your own projects. So I wanted a way to kind of like visualize my shock travel on the suspension system I was designing, right? But not until recently did I figure out a way to make this spring adaptive, so it kind of updates when I need it to. So it's visually correct. My assembly is visually correct whenever I move things around. So yeah, and all that boils down to how you design the parts, right? And I'm going to switch to the spring right now. So what I did was I designed the spring in context of the assembly. So this is an assembly context, right, inside of the Part Studio, and Onshape allows you design that way. A very, very nice way to do some kind of top-down modeling, and you can reduce the transparency of the other parts you're bringing in from the other parts in the context, right? So yeah, let me roll back to here. Okay, so I created the spring in context because I wanted to pull through these two faces. So these two parallel, faces, so that I would use that to drive, the dynamism, right, of the spring. So, and how I did that was because of a pretty neat feature in Onshape variables that allows me to create a variable from a measured distance between two measured faces, right? So I created a variable spring height, measured distance, and then selected the two faces. So this face here and the other parallel face, right? And that is basically what helped me achieve that, right? And that's it really. And then you click OK, and then you're able to build your spring within that space, right? So you do your helix, and then let me just roll to the end, build it out, create your cuts and all of that, right? So what that did is, because we created the spring in context of the assembly, whenever let's go to the assembly. Whenever I adjust the distance between these two faces, let me not take it all the way. Whenever I adjust the distance between those two faces, right, it prompts me to update the context, and the context updates, and you see what happens. The spring fits back into place, right? So I could go all the way down, and it prompts me again to update the context, and I can update that, right? And yeah, that way the spring is dynamic, right? So yeah, that's how I did it. That's how I did, and it helped me to like keep my visuals consistent and accurate in my shock, my suspension assembly, right? When I was moving things around, right? It doesn't seem to work if you say link this document to another document. It doesn't. I don't think it works. But if you're using this assembly, right, with another assembly inside the same document, then it should work, and you should be able to update the context all the time. So, but yeah, have in mind that you have to actually update the context manually, right, for this to work. So yeah, and that's how you do an adaptive spring in Onshape.